Hey everybody, this is Dark Side Elite here, and I wanted to do this video. It's gonna be relatively short, not too short, but not also too long. I don't want to go into a huge tirade. I'm gonna do everything I can to not do that. But this video is literally to give my opinion about why I think that the new trilogies created Rey into a Mary Sue, that she is a Mary Sue. And it also coincides with the stupidity of people, or this stupid notion that about the Force and what is the Force, and what the heck does Dave Filoni? I'm sorry, not Dave Filoni. I'm sorry, not Dave Filoni, but Freddie Prinze you're talking about. I agree in some points, but also disagree in a lot of others. Now, a few other people out there from I think Star Wars Theory talked about it, and he didn't fight back. He just agreed, but he also disagreed. No, this is me fighting back, and and I believe there are some others out there who have fought back about what Freddie Prinze Jr. said about what the heck, why people are not liking the Star Wars and they're being complete idiots and they don't understand what Star Wars is. Here's what we know, what George Lucas stated, that the Jedi are supposed to represent balance, that the Sith are supposed to represent selfishness. Now, that is in one way true, but a lot in what they did in Legends is actually something I feel that actually evolved what George Lucas was doing. That there is a representation of light and dark with the Force, and that you can tap into both spectrums. That there's a yin and a yang. That once one is in balance, both of them are in balance. So that you can't have one without the other. That's pretty much what it is. That there always has to be evil for there to be good, and that is always going to be also that's the balance of nature and that's the balance of the universe. They always expanded on this, and that was one of the things that Luke Skywalker in the Legends also understood about um, his role in the whole spectrum. He understood that his father did bring balance back to the Force. He brought balance back the because of the oversize of what the Jedi's did not do to bring balance back to the Force. If you really look at what the Jedi's were doing, and again, this is from Legends. I'm not saying this is exact. What I'm saying, this is from Legends. Yoda, Yoda and Mace have always spoke in the original prequels that the Jedi's are only peacekeepers. They're not warriors. They're not fighters. However, if you're peacekeepers, why the heck you have lightsabers? Why do you have lightsabers? You're supposed to strike down evil. If you see evil, you take care of it. When what was going on with the Jedi's in how Luke saw what was going on was, or how I saw it. This is how I saw it is was that the Jedi were not doing their due diligence. They were not doing their due jobs. I'm not Obi-Wan, but Qui-Gon Jinn, when he and Obi-Wan were outside of the core worlds, and they were out on the outer rims and out into the out in the galaxy, they were seeing the Hutts were in charge of certain areas. There was enslavements. People were rising. You saw bandits and all this badness going on, but the Jedi's couldn't do anything because they have to work within the law of the Senate and the Republic, and that hindered them. And Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon for damn sure really hated the fact that the Jedi's were not doing their due diligence. They were not out there taking care of these bad instances and helping people. They were hindered to what was going on in the Senate. And Yoda always fought back against Qui-Gon about this because he illustrated that Qui-Gon is still young. He doesn't know that going out there and helping everybody doesn't help everybody. But that inspires people to want to do good. And what sent Anakin down that path is he could not trust the Jedi's to help him with his mother. If he knew he can go to the Jedi and say, "Hey, my mom was taken by the Tusken Raiders," or she was in dire help, wouldn't they help him? Wouldn't they want to help him? But he knew that they wouldn't. He's like, no, let that go. It's what's going on in the outer world. Let it. Let them handle it out there. You need to look at the bigger picture. And that's what I felt, that's what sent Anakin down this path, because he was seeing the Jedi's were betraying their own oaths. They're supposed to protect the galaxy. They're supposed to protect people, and they're not doing that. And he could never be able to protect his own family, and that's what slowly sent him down that spiral. And Luke saw that. That's the one of the main reasons why in if you look at some of the later books, Luke got his whole academy out of what's going on in Coruscant. They were monks, yes, but they fought against evil. When evil rose, he went to go confront it. He didn't just sit idly by and just let it just keep prospering. He fought. He let the Jedi's fight, because that's what they're supposed to do. And that's what's and of course we had great stories. The Vong, the Dark Jedi trilogy, which was the introduction of Mara Jade, and Luke and Mara had their own relationships. Now that's what I felt that they should have been doing with this new trilogy. They should have been showing that Luke was doing exactly what his father told the Jedi they should be doing. What his father really believed in, that hey, you guys are being held back because of their laws. We are not being held by those laws. We are warriors for the Force. We're supposed to be balanced back to the Force. We're supposed to help people, and they're not doing it. And that's what Luke was doing, and that's what I felt that they were doing. Now, let's get it. Now, when they talk about the Force, he was illustrating that the Force wills everything. That everything's always the will of the Force. No, that's a cop-out. That's a massive cop-out. Think about it. You're saying that Anakin's fall to the dark side was predetermined by the Force. Do you understand that would shatter the Jedi down? That would shatter Luke down to the core of his being, because you're basically telling the audience, and you're telling Luke Skywalker that his father's fall was meant to happen. That was part of the will of the Force. No, it wasn't. Every person has their own decision. Every person has their own decisions to make. And what they do with those decisions is what determines if they're going to fall or they're going to be redeemed in the eyes of the Force. The Force should be ambiguous. The Force should never have a say in anything. The Force is just a guiding light to where they feel that they need to go once they listen to the will of the Force. That is why Yoda says everything's part of the will of the Force once you listen to it. Once you give yourself over to the Force will guide you in what you need to do. Anakin stopped listening to the Force and became selfish. That is the whole point of why the selfish nature of the Sith is an ill balance to the Force itself. If you really think about it. If Luke throughout his whole journey realizes that the will of the Force is to allow evil to prosper, then why the heck would he even want to deal with it? Why would he want to fight against it? It shouldn't be that the Force should just say, okay, I want evil to triumph for 20 years. I want evil to triumph. To me, it makes absolutely no sense. And that's the reason why I disagree severely with what Freddie Prinze Jr. was saying. I disagree completely with what he's saying about the Force. The Force does not dictate who wins or who loses. No, it doesn't do that. The Force is ambiguous. And this was illustrated in Rebels. Now you got to go back and watch Rebels, because there was a whole arc where his character Kanan Jarrus met the Minku, or whatever they're supposed to be called, like that gigantic mammoth looking thing with elk horns. It literally said that we are the balancers. We can see the light and the dark, the Jedi and the Sith. We're neither one. We are what the Force represents. So that means that they're pacifists. The Force is a pacifist. The Force doesn't do anything. They only give you wisdom to tell you what you think you need to do. Hence why the Jedi or the Sith have to listen to what the Force tells it to do. And then it can either listen to it and do what the Force says it, or it bends it and twists it and forces it to do what it wants, what they want it to do. Hence the Sith. Hence why it's selfish. Again, this is what I believe. This is what I believe with the Force and what George Lucas was trying to say, but slowly evolve it a little bit. That's why I truly do believe that there's a yin and a yang to the Force. You can have a light side of the Force and the dark side of the Force, and it could be very messy by having a yin and a yang portion to it. But you also got to look at it as it makes sense that yin and yang has always been in Chinese culture representation of a whole, and you got to have light to have dark. You got to have dark to have light. You have to. It keeps balance. And I think that that's what the premise of what George Lucas was trying to illustrate. But he was trying to say that there's always going to be a level of good, and once you take that good and you twist it and contort it, and you take that one thing that's good and twist and contort it and make it selfish, it goes down this dark path. Hence why the Sith are the way they are. They're twisted and mangled because they're supposed to be the goodness of the Jedi is supposed to look they're supposed to look beautiful and angelic, while the Sith look mangled and jacked up like demons. So you're kind of doing this whole angel versus demon type of thing, and that's how I personally, in one way, think that they are. And you could take it however you wish. A Christian look at it, or a West or an Eastern philosophy about it, and that's perfectly fine too. And George Lucas took a lot of representation of philosophy and study from the Eastern cultures into Star Wars. That's why people love Star Wars. That's why the Japanese love Star Wars. They love it because it's also a deepness to it. Now let's get the whole thing with Rey. Now a lot of us, including myself, we were all grown up on the whole Luke Skywalker and his hero's journey. He was a boy that on a desert planet, and he was assumed that the fact that his father was this great warrior and this great general in the Clone Wars, and he met his father's mentor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he was thrusted this level of responsibility and given the platitude of, you now have within you the power that your father has, and you need to learn how to use it. You need to know how to train with it. Now we saw him in let's go to A New Hope. He picked up a lightsaber, moved around a little bit, but when he was on the Falcon with Obi-Wan and Han and Chewie, what was he doing? Using a training droid, learning how to reach out with his feelings, and not in a way force the Force, not to force the Force to twist the Force the way he wants it, but to push it in a way that he needed to go, okay, I need to do this or this or this. Reach out with his feelings and command the Force to do what you needed to do. So that's what he was trying to teach him. Not twist or contort it, but command it. Say, hey, I need to do this with it. Or if you basically allow the Force to do what it wants, you'll be so enveloped by it and you'll be twisted and contorted by it. Hence why he hasn't learned how to self-control and command. That's what Obi-Wan was trying to teach him. And he didn't pick up a lightsaber and was able to reflect lightsaber bolts and everything like that, because if he was doing that, Vader would have been like shocked as hell and he would have went after him. But he didn't. So we get him to Empire Strikes Back. He goes to Yoda, and Yoda starts teaching him how to open himself up to the Force, so he can be able to hear its thoughts and see into the past, the present, and the future. See the people that are long dead and gone, and also learn how to control this level of power. Because basically, all Yoda was doing was opening him up to a whole complete new world. He was opening him up to the whole presence of the Force. He was kind of, in a way, speeding up his process. But Luke left his training, and Yoda told him that if you leave now, you will be seduced by, like your father was. Vader is very, very powerful. And what did he do? He went to go confront Vader. He got his hand lopped off, and then it was revealed that that Vader is his father, which sent him into an emotional turmoil, because everything he ever believed in was completely destroyed in front of him. He thought his father was this great hero, this great general, which he was, but he didn't think that, and he was told that Vader was the one that killed his father. But no, it was that Vader is his father. And Obi-Wan basically told him a truth, but it was only from his own point of view. That once you become a Sith, you discard who you used to be and you become this new person. Hence why in the original prequels, when Palpatine gave Anakin his new name, he baptized him. He gave him a brand new name and said, you need to discard who you used to be and become this person. You are Darth Vader. Now we get to Return of the Jedi. What the heck happened in Return of the Jedi? He never trained. He just basically probably polished off what he knew, and he went to go get Han. And then he confronted Vader again. And when he tapped into the dark side for just a moment, he overpowered his father and almost killed him. And then he realized that if he does this, he will go down the same path as his father. And he decided, no. He threw his lightsaber away and told the Emperor that you will not do this. I am a Jedi, like my father before me. And his conviction is the cement that actually the Emperor knew that he could not trust this boy anymore. He can't. So he said, okay, if I can't do it, I will kill you. And that's what got Anakin to wake up and redeem himself by killing the man that he should have killed all those years ago. And protect his family the way he originally wanted to do. All of this, and we know this in the prequels because that was his story. That was Anakin's story, that he went down this path to protect his family, but he didn't protect his family, so he went further down the path. But now he's presented with a choice again, like it was with Mace Windu. And he decided, no, I need to protect my family. And he threw the man down a pylon chute, and he got killed. And in turn, he died in the process. Now, throughout all of those 3 movies, we never saw Luke do anything completely out of the normal. Nothing, because Lucas kept it simple, kept it very simple. The only thing that was a test, and that was from Yoda, was that he wanted to see if Luke was gonna look past the weaknesses that he has and know that he can do the impossible and lift his X-Wing. And he couldn't, because he already had that self-doubt in his mind. And Yoda realized, he's like, oh, he got that self-doubt. He has to eliminate it. He has to get rid of it if he's going to fully become a powerful Jedi. But he wasn't able to do any of that stuff. He wasn't able to move a freaking a ship out of the air. He wasn't capable of doing anything like that. In all retrospect, he's a freaking Padawan. He's a Padawan right now. And what George Lucas did in the prequels, now I'm getting out of the originals, I'm going to the prequels. In the prequels, George Lucas came out and stated he wanted to show the Jedis at their absolute peak of their powers. Hence why the lightsaber duels were a lot quicker. And he gave them different levels of styles. Hence why Christopher Lee had fencing. He gave Yoda a more acrobatic style. He gave Anakin a much more aggressive style. Obi-Wan was basically a grounded style to reflect things away from him. Mace had more of a samurai style. Hence why that's why his style was closer to how it was in the originals. If you really look at what he was doing, he was trying to show that there's difference to all these Jedis and even these Siths, and there's way more to what's going on. These Jedis and Sith are at the apex of their powers and what they could truly do with the Force. There's a lot of Jedis. So we're going to get difference in their styles, difference in their abilities. But there was a school to teach them what they can learn. Yoda even told them, says, hey, what's going on here? And the kids start telling them, like, well, yeah, this is what happened. And Yoda says, the power of a child's imagination. That they're smarter than They're smarter than what you think they are. They can pick things up. So again, I disagree with what Freddie Prinze Jr. is saying is that the Force dictates everything. It doesn't matter if you're this or this. You're powerful. The Force does whatever it wants. No. If that was the case, again, why the hell would you need a school? Why would you want to teach him anything? Anakin was powerful as hell with the Force, but he was unlearned. If he was that powerful, Palpatine would have killed him on the spot. Said, no, I'm not having this kid out of nowhere. Zzz. He would have that kid killed in the first movie. That kind of eliminates it all. His logic is completely flawed because he was trying to show the case that he was extremely smart. No, Dave Filoni. If Dave Filoni was up there, and I guarantee he would have been a lot more diplomatic about it. He'd have said, no, I mean, the Force does kind of dictate certain things, but it's always choice. It's always been choice. We're not going to tell the people that the Force dictates everything, so Anakin's fall was already predetermined. That kind of just screws up his whole story. Like, basically, he was going to always become Darth Vader? No. You tell me Padme was meant to die? It eliminates the whole choice out of everything. And that's why I feel that Freddie Prinze Jr. is an idiot. And we should all look at him and laugh. Like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Yes, it's a movie. Yes, it's all been predetermined by the writers. But the mysticism of that you're taking away choice because it's the Force, you're kind of telling George Lucas to his face that, yeah, well, people are idiots. No. It's wrong. So that's what, and if you look at the whole situation of how these Jedis got powerful, then you can also look at how they did Daisy Ridley's character. They did Daisy Ridley wrong in this whole trilogy. They did her wrong. And the main reason why they did her wrong is they never showed that she struggled with her powers. She struggled only with the fact that she has these powers and she has no true guidance with them. Everything had to come off the cuff. But she never failed with her abilities. She never really was tempted. Now, in Rise of Skywalker, she was tempted. She got angry a lot. And those are the things that we should have seen. But she should never have been able to pause a ship in midair and pull it with the Force, or lift boulders off the ground like it's nothing. We should never have saw her do stuff like that. And now you're getting people out there that are talking about, well, Baby Yoda was able to heal. Yeah, that's kind of a throwaway. I mean, not throwaway, but that's kind of a complete jump the shark type of situation. But here's the thing: Baby Yoda got knocked out. Once he healed Carl Weathers' character, he fainted. He went, ugh. He fainted. He was knocked out. He tried it again. He got knocked out again. He tried to do a force choke. It tired the hell out of him. So don't tell me that Daisy Ridley can be able to do that but doesn't get tired out. That makes absolutely no sense. She doesn't have nowhere near the levels of training. Now, we don't know about the creature, and I don't want to call it Baby Yoda because it's not Yoda, but it is a baby. It's an infant in our standards, but it's not Yoda. But I'm gonna call it the child. The child still has 50 years, so we don't know anything, and that's the word. We don't know anything about how this child was able to do the Force the way he wanted to. We don't know. And that's why it makes it intriguing. And later, we hope that they're going to be able to expand that story, but they will. They're not going to. That's the whole premise of setting up and payoff. They didn't do that with Daisy Ridley's character. They didn't do that with Rey. They gave her all these tools and they said, "Hey, you can use them." And she's like, "Oh, okay." I think deep down, Daisy Ridley kind of went, I can do that. That's, she's happy that she could do all this stuff, but I think even deep down when she's sitting there reading the script, she's going, that makes absolutely no sense. What? How can she do stuff like this? You can't say the Force did it, because if that's the case, then Luke Skywalker should have been able to do it. We just saw freaking Anakin do it. And if she could do it, Vader should be able to do it. Palpatine should have been able to do it. And these are learned. These are learned people. These are people that are extremely powerful in the Force. Yoda's able to lift a freaking X-wing. He's able to easily stop blaster bolts and stuff like that. But the thing about George Lucas, and I illustrated it back, he keeps it simple. He keeps it very simple. So she is a Mary Sue. They never kept her style and what she could do with the Force simple, and expanded off the simplicity of it. And it's weird. She's able to do a Jedi mind trick to a stormtrooper in the first movie. That makes absolutely no sense. And after no training with Luke, she's able to lift boulders heavier, and the word is heavier than the X-Wing, with little training. No training whatsoever. Luke couldn't do that. And again, a lot of people can put in the defense, say, well, they didn't want to do that in the movie. No, that's mainly because, guess what? Lucas wanted to keep it simple. Lucas wanted to keep it very, very simple. Why make it too complicated? If you keep it simple, then it's easier for you to explain in later books that they can be able to do stuff like this once they get more experience. Because hell, we know in the books that Anakin is at the time, the only Jedi actually able to throw his lightsaber and control it with the Force. No other Jedi can do that because that's pretty aggressive. Anakin was the only one that learned how to do a Force choke with precision. No one else did it because it was too aggressive. We've seen it in freaking Clone Wars. So again, it's one of those things of they want to expand it, but they wanted to keep it, again, simple, to showcase that, yeah, they're very powerful, but they don't want to overstep the bounds, and they don't want to jump the shark. And that's the reason why a lot of people are saying that Rey is a Mary Sue. It makes absolutely no sense. Why is she more powerful than the two guys to her left? Why is she more powerful than them? It makes no sense. And the whole reasoning of Luke, how he died, is he had a Force stroke, basically, able to project himself with the Force from that long of a distance, and it took everything out of him to do something like that. That's completely out of the blue. That makes absolutely no sense, with no buildup. That he just dies makes no sense. So the whole reason why a lot of people call her Mary Sue is truly the main reason why is she could do things that no other Jedi can do. No one can do. She's an ace pilot. Huh? Better than Poe? That hasn't been contested. She's a better fighter than Finn? That shouldn't be contested. Finn should have way more tactical and strategy experience than most people in the freaking in the Resistance. He's an elite he's an experienced stormtrooper. That's honestly like saying, do you want a clone trooper or do you want a stormtrooper? I would say I want a clone trooper. He has more experience. Way more experience. And I'm not saying that Daisy Ridley's character should be weak and helpless. No, she knows how to defend herself. Duh, that's perfectly fine. But she should not be able to manhandle or defeat Finn. Finn should be able to easily be able to be almost her equal in at least 2 of the movies. The 3rd movie, no way. She's a pretty experienced Jedi. Experienced Force user. Able to use a lightsaber with relative ease. But in the first 2 movies, heck no. He should be experienced. He should be able to easily be able to do a lot of stuff. But they They nipped them in the bud to make her look better. She's able to fix the Falcon without even knowing what the Falcon is. She doesn't know nothing about Corellian technology, so how she's able to fix it? Just because she's a scavenger doesn't mean she's a mechanic. And I'm not putting down Daisy Ridley. She's a beautiful girl. I will shake her hand. I'm like, hell yeah, you played a great character. You actually acted very well in those movies. Your character's just a Mary Sue. I'm sorry. I want to see greatness out of this young lady. She has the personality to be a great actress for a young generation. But it's silly to just sit back and just go, yeah, well, no. You need to criticize this whole thing because it actually puts the producers, the studio heads, all of them on notice. Like, hey, why did you do this? The prequels is the reasoning why Lucas sold the damn franchise in the first place, because people got pissed off about how he did it, and they voiced it to him. But everybody now is being apologetic and don't want to do that to Disney. It's like, no, do it to Disney. Let them know you screwed up. You screwed up. You gave us a trilogy that was, in all honesty, worse than the prequels. How can you do that? You gave us a great cast, a female protagonist, a great villain, and you make them go into complete circles and knots and pretzels, and in pretzel maneuvers, and then they come out and they're smiling everything. What the heck is that about? You messed up Rey's character. You messed her character up. And you sit back and you defend Rian Johnson when you should have said, no, the dude screwed up the whole thing. We're sorry. No. It's honestly time for a lot of individuals, especially it's starting to voice out. There's a lot of people who are voicing out. They don't like this new trilogy. Keep voicing it out. Make videos. Let people know. Like, hey, you guys can love it. You guys can love those. You can love the trilogy. But give us a good reasoning why. Don't give us, well, it's Star Wars. So that's not a good reason. That's not a good reason. You lost Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill doesn't even want anything to do with Star Wars now. And this was his first movie. This was his first movie. This is the movie that gave him his acting. He loves Star Wars. So don't and if it wasn't for the prequels, we never would have got Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hands down, the greatest Obi-Wan Kenobi we have ever gotten. Alec Guinness will be very happy that he knows that, he kind of hated Star Wars at one point, but he became a legend. And people appreciate his stuff. Appreciate the fact that now you got another actor, a Scottish actor, that came in and did this role in the same vein as what Alec Guinness brought to the table. And it's now destroyed. Because you got more fans that are so mad that they ruined this whole trilogy without giving us literally no payoff for a lot of the stories. You only tied up the stories that were apparent. That's it. You didn't tie up the smaller secular stories. And that's the problem that they did on this trilogy. There was one thing that makes absolutely no sense. What the heck made Finn break out of his conditioning? That's one. That's the biggest one. Number two, where the heck did we didn't get no story about the First Order. We got nothing of the First Order. We got nothing of who the heck was the Legion commander. That's Richard B. Gant's character. He's the Legion commander. He's the one who oversees the whole freaking the whole thing. So is he the second under Snoke? If that's the case, then what the heck was he? Why the heck was he killing freaking Hux the moment the Starkiller base wasn't destroyed? Why wasn't he killed? You lost one of the most powerful weapons since the Death Star, and you're gonna say whoopsie daisy? No, you got to die. And then on top of that, you didn't kill the resistance because you wanted to play with them like a dog to like a cat to a mouse. No, you gotta go. That made absolutely no sense to Hux's to the whole situation. And you come to find out that this Legion commander was an old Moff. He was a freaking commander or an admiral underneath the Emperor. So how the heck would this guy even allow Hux to even get anywhere near anything? He would have killed him. You have failed not once, you failed twice. You die. It made no sense. There's a lot in these movies that makes absolutely no sense. And then poor Daisy Ridley has this whole trilogy almost on her whole shoulders. And she now has a character that's tainted in a way. It's very tainted. She's able to do things that literally no other Jedi before her can do at her learned level. No Padawan, even during the prequels, could do what the heck she can do. You can't say, all right, that's the Force. That makes absolutely no sense. These are kids who trained with other Jedi. You're telling me if she trained with other Jedi, she gets weaker? So solitude makes you more powerful? Solitude makes you go down the path of the dark side. You got to train with others. That's how you learn that's how you learn unification. And it makes absolutely no sense. Anakin's character was extremely powerful. Luke was an extremely powerful Force user himself. And I have no doubt that the way they constructed Rey, she was going to be a very, very powerful Force user in her own right. But here's the thing. You don't make the character do more than any of the other protagonists in the saga. It makes no sense. And if you don't give us a basis of reasoning of why, then it makes absolutely no sense. People had great fan fiction ideas for her. Like, oh, she used to be part of Luke's order. But that would have made no sense because Luke would have remembered her. She would have remembered Luke. She would have known who Luke was. That would have made no sense. And in my how you fix it, I said she knew she has powers. She just doesn't know how to use. She doesn't know how to manifest it. She knows she has these powers that she can move things and make people do what she wants them to do. She learned all that. She self-taught her that stuff while she was on Jakku. Everyone would have been like, oh, she has these strange abilities, but she doesn't do them very often because they're always consistently running. Then you would have showed her at her peak when she's fighting against Kylo Ren, or however you want to do it in certain little instances where she's pinpoint accuracy when she's shooting with the blaster, which would have made Finn go, "What the heck? Nobody can do that. That's pinpoint. Even he can't do that." And he's trained on a blaster. He's a marksman. And then it goes, that makes absolutely no sense. So you'd had small little bits and pieces of her saying like, no, she's using the Force consistently. And you go, oh, that would have been a much better pill to swallow than her out of nowhere saying, oh, she knows how to grab things with the Force. Oh, she turns it on. Oh, she's able to fight Kylo Ren. Huh? And now she's able to move boulders. She's able to freaking do all this, Force leaps and this and that. Oh my God, it's so off-putting. Because you already know, oh, she's gonna beat him. She's gonna beat. It takes away the suspense. The whole fight between Luke and Vader was, we knew Luke was gonna get completely demolished by freaking Vader. We didn't know how until we saw the scenes. He got, in a way, raped. He got physically destroyed by Vader. And the same goes for Anakin as an almost fully trained Padawan who confronted Dooku. Dooku made him look stupid. Took his arm, threw him all over the place. And then we had Yoda show up and everything went to pot for him. So that's why I never, ever believed in anybody saying that it's the will of the Force. No. It's just experience versus inexperience. And for her to be able to do all this stuff and she's unexperienced is a massive cop out for anybody to say it's just the Force. And for anybody that says to you, oh, it's just a movie, then they don't love Star Wars. They don't. They don't care about it. They just want slapped on the label Star Wars so they can go and eat their popcorn. And again, that's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. But if it's just a movie to you, who the heck cares? I don't care about your opinion. Move on. Go enjoy Star Wars. Go enjoy it. That's perfectly fine. But don't come to me, don't come to anybody and start talking about that nonsense. Because all you're doing is being a troll. We're not being trolls. We're trying to convince other people who are trying to figure out what the heck is going on, trying to convince them that no, they screwed up. So I hope that I was able to explain why I believe Rey is a Mary Sue. She is. Daisy really got the complete screw job. She's a great actress. No, I'm sorry. No. I'm gonna revise that. She's a good actress. She needs to get herself into more. I hate to say it. She needs to go back to Britain and do a lot more movies in Britain. Work around other British actors, and develop her craft. She can't stay here in America because American movies are gonna basically pigeonhole her into certain things, and she needs to advance her acting prowess. I hate to say it. Some of the best actors come from Britain. That's because they do a lot of stage plays. They do a lot of thespian. And they do a lot of emotional acting, character acting, and method acting. There's only a few handful of actors in America that actually can move an audience. And Daisy needs to go back to Britain. She needs to go back to the UK and literally do a lot of movies there. Do some here in America. That's fine. I'm not saying that she shouldn't come back. I'm saying there's certain movies she needs to start doing in Britain. Build her whole craft. Someone needs to be her mentor and get her going, because I do not want to see this actress, this beautiful actress, to get screwed over because of some stupid decisions people made in a franchise and pigeonhole her. And that's how I feel. She has a great future ahead of her. Do not allow what happened to Star Wars to affect her like it affected Hayden Christensen, because this poor kid got screwed over. Now, Revenge of the Sith, he was actually very good in. You felt a lot of the emotion, but the problem is that Lucas is a horrible, horrible actor director. He cannot get actors to do what they want him to do. His emotional states are pretty piss poor. If they got someone like Steven Spielberg to do a Star Wars, I guarantee you'll get a ton of emotion out of them. You get a lot of emotional beats. So my only thing here is just be civil about things, but also be determined in how you want to say it, because a lot of people just want to have you just shut up and just who the heck cares? No, voice your opinion. If it makes them angry, who the heck cares? If this is not for you, it's not for you. That's perfectly fine. Star Wars should be written better than this. This felt like a fanfic set of movies. Adam Driver deserves a whole lot better than this. This guy's a phenomenal actor. He's a great actor. John Boyega deserves a lot better. Oscar Isaac deserves a lot better. All these people deserve a lot better than this trilogy. And it was terrible. Rise of Skywalker is a better movie only on the basis that a lot of people hated The Last Jedi. I don't want a Star Wars movie just slap on Star Wars on a movie and I'm supposed to just sit back and just enjoy it. What the heck is that about? How hard is it just to make a hero's tale and not overpower the Jedis or the Sith in the damn movie? Yes, the Sith should be powerful. The reasoning why Sidious was extremely powerful is because he was a Machiavellian who did a lot of stuff in the backfield. He was powerful, yes. He fought Yoda. We know how powerful he is. The stuff he can do. But what I saw in Rise of Skywalker, that is what the hell. It's insane levels of power. Truly insane. And that's because they wanted to make it so they want to artificially create the tension. It made no sense. And you got us stuck with a trilogy with a Mary Sue. And you underpowered your main villains and made them laughing stocks when the Empire was never a laughing stock. Some of them did stupid things, and Vader took care of it, but they took care of business. So, like, comment, share, subscribe down below, hit that bell, and please share the video and you guys discuss about, what's going on. And of course, I'm not saying that Daisy Ridley is a terrible actress. I'm not saying that she isn't. I think she's a great actress. No, a good actress. She's a really good actress. I got to see more of some roles for her. I saw her in the Orient Express. She got completely outacted by everybody in that movie. However, she kept her own. She kept it very simple, and she kept to the basics of her acting, and she did great. And that's because Richard Bragnaw is an actor's director. He's an actor director. He knows how to get actors to do what he wants them to do. And a good chunk of them were all British actors. So they knew what he wanted, and they did exactly what he wanted. And Daisy did exactly what Kenneth Bragnaw wanted, and it was awesome. She was really great in that movie. So that's why I feel that she needs to go back to UK and just do a crap ton of movies there. Do a lot of it. Get a filmography that's huge, and then come back to America, and everyone's gonna get blown away by her. This franchise should be in her rear view. She should just move on. I feel that she shouldn't even need to come back. There's no reason to. And if they ask her why, she says, I think they kind of told their story. There's no reason for Rey to come back. Rey moved on. That's how I feel. And that's how they wrote it. Rey moved on. She never went to go look for any others. She kept to herself. So I hope you guys love it. And like I said, comment, share, subscribe down below. Hit that bell. I will try to get another video out. And I'll also have I was going to do one other video about Star Wars, but I'm going to hold off on it. If it comes back to me, I'll do it. But I'm going to move back into doing stuff about the DCEU. And I will do my part 3 about how I would fix the trilogy with the last movie. And I will call that movie literally Fate of the Force. No Jedi, no nothing. It's called The Fate of the Force. And or Legacy of the Force, or however, and it's from a book title. So you're getting a lot of nuggets about what's going to move forward from this, and what's going to be moving forward from this trilogy and hopefully to another trilogy. I hope you guys love it. Thank you for joining me. And again, like I always say, especially for Star Wars, may the Force be with you always.